وآله وصحبه أجمعين. May Allah accept the just concluded prayer from us as an act of ibadah. May Allah continue to uplift every one of us, increase us in iman, and accept all our ibadah and forgive all our shortcomings. Ameen. We are in chapter 5 of this book of Umdatul Ahkam in Bab companionship between husband and wife. The way this book is done, like last week we talked about the divorce and 3 times. So the subsequent chapter will be the details of divorce. Inshallah, when we get there, we're going to give the details account of divorce. But the one that we are to talk about today is ashara, cohabitation, the companionship, how to stay with each other. What are the Islamic guidelines in that regard? Hadith that we have here is Hadith Sabi' Bada Thalatha Thalathumia, Hadith 307. That's 307. The Hadith start by this. And Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu. This Hadith that we quickly discuss is Hadith 307. Is about how to live in peace with our spouses, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stated it, how to cohabit with one another. First, just as we said, that the major aim for marriage is the continuous existence of human race. May Allah to make the human to continue to be in existence. As a result of this, there are a lot of interests in marriage. Those interests, they are the basis for the contracts of marriage. That is to say, each and every one of us is married. Before we got married, we emphasize something on our head, how we're going to live together, how we're going to have our own family, how everything is going to be moving smoothly, how everybody is going to be happy with one another, and so on and so forth. But along the line, not always things are working the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it. I mean, the way we want it to work, the way we dream it will work. Not always. So in that case, for us to make that thing work, we have to, number one, try as much as we can to lower our expectation. Because what I mean by that is that in most cases, what caused the rancor, misunderstanding, or discord between between spouses is that the expectation from each other is very, very high. That is to say, you expect her or she expects you to be close to perfection. And then in those cases, anything called perfection is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They raise the bar or the level of our expectation too much. If there are there are shortcomings, there is mistakes or something from each party, we always try to give ourselves that excuse because we do not expect him or her to be that highest level of perfection. And the second thing is for us to know that everything in life, majority of us now that we're married say, "Ah, we have love and then we love ourselves, we do this." We should know that that kind of situation cannot be forever. Before divorce comes between husband and wife, the first thing that will come into their mind is al-karahiyah. Karahiyah, it means hatred. And he or she, let's say, for example, he will hate how she dresses. Look at her now, she's not even keeping something intact. Look at her now, look at everywhere is dirty. Look at the way that thing we keep on hammering in our mind. And then we should not always give room for such a karahiyah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran, kathira. Maybe sometimes that you dislike something or from one another, but you should know that if you dislike them or you hate them, there are some things in most cases that you hate, and that thing that you hate is the best for you. There are a lot of things that we hate. Not everything that's why some people, everything is based on love. But not everything we love is the best for us, and then not everything we hate is not good for us. Look at it, for example, human being, if he's sick, they take him to hospital, and then in the process of administering the medication, or the treatment, they will recommend to pass through some pain and to take some injection. That thing is very painful. And then, or even some people, they will say, okay, you have to take this drug. It is that drug that he doesn't like to take. He doesn't want to take. Is the what is what Allah has put is a shifa, is cure in it. Is that injections that is so painful? Is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put is a cure in it. So that is to say, he doesn't like it, but it's good for him. And then look at it in another case. Sometimes, in most cases, we see a lot of sugary things, sugar, plenty of it, and then we consume it because it attracts us, because our mind wants it, we love it, we and so on and so forth. And then maybe eat plenty of it, food, and then carry it, bam, everything inside your stomach because you like it and so on. Yeah, and also, but in real case is that those things that we love may not always be the best for us. And those things that we hate, it does not mean it's not the best for us. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا كَثِيرًا. And sometimes you hate them if you dislike yourselves. Sometimes that thing that you dislike may be the best for you. That's why we as Muslims will always need to give room for maybe this one will be the best for me. Now, the hadith that we are discussing today is from Ibn Umar. He said that Rasulullah is part of the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallam, that if he marries, now how to stay with our wives, especially if you marry more than one. The standard for that, the standard for someone who marries more than one wife is for him to do justice between them, for him to do justice. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he talks about multiple wives in Quran, Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, Allah says, Fankihu ma taba lakum min an-nisa. Marry women of your choice. Mathna, two, wa thulatha, or three, wa ruba'a, and maximum of what? Of four. Look at it. Look at how Quran stated. Say, marry women of your choice, two or three, or maximum of four. Then he now give final, that one as he said is choice, right? Choice, women of your choice. That one is choice. That's why some people, they will emphasize on sunnatic way or sunnatic recommendation of marrying more than one. Yes, it's sunnah, but there is fardu in the first place. What's the fardu? The one that come with strong command. That one is optional. That if you what? If your mind wants it, if you have the capability and some other things, do it this way if you like, do it this way if you like. Then the last part of the ayah says, so now it is now compulsory for you to marry one only. If you have fear that you may not have ability to be just. If you have that fear, or you know that with the way you see the thing, you cannot stand to practice justice between two wives. So, but when we say justice, people do not understand justice. Many people think justice means equality. Justice is not equality. Justice is not does not mean equality. So this hadith that we're going to explain, we explain it for us to know justice does not mean equality. Does not mean that everything between your wife should be equal. Does not mean. It means justice. It means equity. It means give everyone what they deserve. For example, you have two wives. One has one child. The other has three children. And then you have to share what? You have to share food between them, for instance. So you give this one bag of rice. You give this one bag of rice, for instance. You say, what am I doing? I'm doing justice. Wallahi, that is not justice. That is a real meaning of injustice. But what have you done? You have done equality. Yani you've shared the things equally between what? Between them. But have you done justice? No. That's one of the problem in Yoruba side. There is one of the way of sharing inheritance. There is one of the way or one of way of sharing inheritance. They call it idigi. It means that if someone has more than one wife, two wives, three wives, if he dies, this one has five children, this one have two children, this one have five, seven, this one have, If they want to share inheritance between them, they will not share inheritance based on the formula that is recommended by Quran or by the Sunnah of Rasulullah. They will share it all in those days anyway. Many things have changed now. There are a lot of research on it. There are a lot of recommendation on that regard. They will share it based on each wife side. This one, he has three wives. They will share the inheritance or the properties. They will share everything three equally, into three equally. They will give each wife their own side. You have five children, now you sabi, that's your own problem. You have three children, so that's your own luck. You have one child, so that's your own luck. They will share the thing equally between them. They will consider the wife, not the number of children everyone has. Is that justice? No justice. So no justice. That's why Quran, Islam emphasizes on the justice. This hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, the hadith here is stated that Mina Sunnah is part of the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallam. Is part of the Sunnah. Yani he stated that Mina Sunnah is part of Sunnah of who? Automatically is Sunnah of Rasulullah sallam. That's Bikran ala Thayyib. If someone marries a young or a virgin, let's put it that way. Yani Bikr, it means a virgin. Or in another translation, it means someone who has not been previously what? Married before. Who has not been previously married and before. If you marry such one, that is, you should stay with her. You marry a Sayyib, a Bikr, yani a woman that's not been married before. You married her on your Sayyib, yani your woman that has been in your house for years or for some times before. Then you have to give this one, new wife, you have to give her 7 days. 7 days. So that is to say, you have to stay with her without even going to what? To your previous wife for 7 days. You have to stay with her. Yani, there are a lot of wisdom behind it. This one is new in marriage. She doesn't know anything. You have to let her get accustomed to something. You have to be with her, yani, cohabit with her, stay with her, give her good companionship, and so on and so forth. And then after that, then you start dividing the days between them equally. Start dividing days between them equally. The days should be shared between them, not that because this one is old or this one is something, so no need to come to your now. You have to, that's part of the equality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes on. And then, and if the reverse is the case, if peradventure you marry a thayyib, yani a thayyib, it means someone who has been experienced, who has been previously married before, who has experience. So if you marry such a woman, you should give her 3 days. You give her 3 days, and then after 3 days, then you start sharing the days between your wives equally. There are a lot of lessons from this habit. One of them is that if someone wants to marry more than one, it is strongly recommended that you should get separate apartments for them. Separate apartments. Separate apartments in the sense that each and every one of them will have access to their basic needs, starting from kitchen, bathroom, and something of such. Especially kitchen, separate apartment that each and kitchen and bathroom, and their own separate what? Room. Is haram completely for someone to marry two wives in the same room. That one is haram. Your own bed, put it in one corner. Your own bed, let it be in another corner. That is haram. That one is haram, no doubt about it. And then it is frowned and it is discouraged for you to marry them in the same apartment where they, even though they have their own separate room, but they do not have the shared kitchen. Even though that one is not haram anyway, but it's wrongly recommended that you let them have their own separate kitchen. Why? Should be because we know women, we know how they value kitchen. We know women how they value what? They value kitchen. Each and every one of them, they always have they always like to have authority on their own thing, especially those things in the kitchen. If you observe it, if they are sharing the same kitchen, majority of things that cause rancor, misunderstanding between them is the issue of who carry what I put here, who displays this one, who did, before you know, they will fight themselves. To avoid that, it's better you let each and everyone has her own separate kitchen and bathroom as well. So that's one thing that will, because if they do not have separate abode, separate place of staying, there is no point in what in having 7 days with this one, you know, and so without going to the other one. That's number one. Another thing that we learn here is that when we say justice does not mean equality. This one that is previously married, that you marry her, maybe she's a widow or divorcee. Okay, this one that's previously married, she is experienced. She needs little, orientation, because in marriage you need a lot of orientation. There are some orientations that they are theory, while there are some orientation that they are what? They are practical. Is when they are there already. That's when you show them that now. So this one is done, because there are something that you've been hearing it, but when we come to practice, it takes different tone and different look entirely. That's why when she's married newly, to get yourself accustomed to her, to get yourself used to her, you have to stay with her without break for complete 7 days. But as for the Sayyid, the previously married one, she is experienced. She knows. She just needs little explanation, and then she will get it. And another thing that she has learned a lesson. That's why if you are married a bikir, you are married a virgin or not previously married as your second wife, you have to exercise a lot of what? A lot of patience. Because if you start comparing her with your one, the one that's in your house, you will see her as a problem, as a burden on your head. Now you know what you are looking for to go and marry the younger one. So you have to bring yourself down to our what? Her level, or else you leave her, you let her be. So that is it. You need a lot of patience. So that is the first hadith that we have. Second hadith is all about the still part of mu'ashara, this cohabitation with our spouses. The hadith teaches us some of the prayers that are recommended, for us to observe, for us to do when we are with our spouses, especially at one of our weakest points. You see, Shaitan as a serious enemy of human. He always, hunts us, especially he always hunts our weak points. He will look for our weak point. That's when he will strike. If they send some any magic spell, or they send some things to someone, Shaitan, that's the devils that are in charge of those magic things, they will look at the weak points of the person. They will look at the weak points of person. I heard from one of Ustad down there. I had one of his program online. He said that he used to do a lot of ruqya. He used to do this ruqya. Sorry, he used to do this ruqya a lot. This Islamic, you know, giving prayer, all those things. He said someone came to his house, and then as the person was about to enter his house, jinn entered the body of the person. Jinn entered the body of the person. So when they brought the jinn to the man, because he used to cast out all these jinn, all this deliverance. And so when we are delivering the woman, jinns spoke that I have been at your door for some days. I've been there waiting for weak points. Either you or any one of your what? Your children. Either you or any one of your children. This one just came without anything, and then you saw weak. When I've been waiting for you, I just because it's sent. Been waiting for you. Maybe you have been going up and down, your children and so on. But jinn could not attack any one of them. Why? Because they did not leave any time to be the weak point. One of our weak points is when we go to bed. Are we? When we go to bed, who is strong when he's already sleeping? Is there anyone? You don't even know what is going on around you. That time when you are what? You are on your bed, you snoring. Even if you are snoring, you have the problem with that. Even if you are the president, and then there are some people when they sleep, the saliva will coming out from their mouth. If you are the type If someone wants to do you bad thing, just to go and carry the video and then, record that thing when you say, look at him, he's the president of the whole country. Now you open his mouth here now. That is it. You are weak. Everybody is weak at that point. That's why before you go to bed, before you sleep, there are adhkar that are recommended. And that's one of our weak points. There are adhkar that are what? That are recommended while you are going to bed. Another weak point that we have is that when we are going to the toilet, when we are going to toilet bath, you know how weak we are? If you are going to tell me something what to do, shaggy. If either the big one or the small one catches you, and then the rope of your trouser refuses to what? To lose. You know how that thing is very painful, huh? That's how weak you are. Desperate, you just want to subhanahu. And then another thing is that when you are starting, if you are having some disorder in your stomach, like jadi and some, you'll be seeing if they cover someone's face, the reaction that they show him that you they do like this when you are about to pass out the thing. In fact, in Egypt, there, majority of these Arab, they like to eat sugar a lot. They eat sugar, a lot of it, and many of them, and at the small age, they are very, before you know, they are already weak, and then they always have issues when they are defecating. Then I remember, then when you go to mosque inside toilet, we used to make that fun among ourselves. You go to mosque, the public place. When you go to toilet in the mosque, you'll be hearing someone saying Subhanallah inside the toilet. So, trying to pass out the thing. You see, that is how human are weak as at that time. Because it's beyond your control. And Shaitan is waiting at that point. That's why it's also recommended as part of the Sunnah that you do what? You do adhkar when you are to enter inside the toilets. All this weak area, we have to continuously fortifying ourselves with one prayer or the other. So another point, when human is weak, is during intimacy, during time of intimacy with their spouse. They are weak. Some, if they have gotten to the peak, there is nothing that can enter their head again. That's why some woman is very discouraged. Is not something that is sunnah for women to be taking advantage of their wife at that point. The point when she knows that her husband is already gone, for her to be making him to make promises. Wallahi, there are some women, when they have seen their men, they are already at the peak, they will try to punish them. They say, what about the thing that you say you buy for me? What about the something that you get the something? They will make their man to make promises. If you are the type that you do that, number one, you are making the man, that is the weak point of the man, the weak point, you are taking advantage of it. And then when the man come back to his senses, because the sense has gone at that time, when he comes back to his senses, he's going to breed hatred towards you. That does. And then another thing is that kind of marriage hardly lasts. You know why? The man you are breeding hatred in his mind, and also hatred in your mind. Because of what? You are going to experience a lot of failed promises. Because majority of those promises that he's making is not genuinely, from his mind. If it is a man that he hates breaking his promises, he will be being compelled to do what he didn't want to, or what he doesn't want to do. And that one is going to grow hatred between the partners. So these are some of the weak points. Each of these weak points, they have recommended sunnatic prayer that we are to do. We are to be doing. At that point, when you are to have intimacy with your spouse, Rasulullah SAW says that if you say this prayer, and then if Allah destines that there will be a child, there will be a product from that kind of intimacy, that product will be protected from shaitan. Allah Akbar. You can see now you are ensuring the life of your even unborn child, right from even before you even have them conceived. So you are ensuring, you are protecting, you are giving them the what is it called, blueprints for them, the step for them to follow by saying this prayer. What is the prayer? I don't know who any one of us knows the prayer. What is the prayer? Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. It's very simple. Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, jannibna shaitan, distance shaitan away from us. Yani me and my what? And my partner and my wife. Let shaitan get away out of our life. When we say shaitan, it does not mean that one shaitan that we know. It means all the shaitan and his agent. Either the one that comes by himself or the one that is sent to us. The one that people invoke, in form of spell, casting and so on, magic or any form. Allahumma jannibna shaitan. Oh Allah, distance shaitan away from us. Then, wajannib shaitan ma razaqtana. And also distance shaitan away from the produce of this intimacy. Anything that you provide us from this, let shaitan get away out of it. By that, you have secured the life of your child. The two hadiths that we talk about today, they are talking about the cohabitation, and those cohabitation should be on the basis of justice, just as we said. But that justice that we said is relative. There are some issues that man cannot have 100% control over. I mean, maybe the way you have with the intimacy with this may be different from the way you have, but you try your best. Or the way out of some other, what is it called, thing, maybe the way this one talks, this one does her thing, has generated some special affection in your mind. That kind of mind affair is beyond your own what? Your own control. But what matters most is the reaction or what comes with those affections. You should not prefer one over what? Over another. With in physical things that can be measured, measurable things. In education, when you are I remember when we used to write lesson. When you have this behavioral objectives, you cannot say at the end of the lesson the student will understand what is called marriage. How will you measure what is understand? It must be something that can be what? Can be measured. That people can say that, oh, they've exhibited this, that's why they are what? They can understand it. You will say this by the end of the student should be able to state or define, because that one, when they state, you measure what they will state. Because if they state it correctly, people can say, oh, they've stated it. They can measure that. So you cannot say they can understand. How would they understand? So these are the things that you have no control over, like love, affection for someone. But the one that people can measure is that how do you relate with this? How many days? For how many days you stay with this? You stay with her 3 days? How many days you stay with this? 2 days, only 1 day? That is injustice. Because we can count how many days you stay with them. How do you share food with them? This one has 1 child. This one has 3 child. It should not be the same. We can measure that one too. So what is the food, the upkeeping you give this one? You give, as a woman, not the children. You give the woman 5,000, and then you give the other one 10,000. It may not be justice, but sometimes it may be justice. It depends on where each and everyone lives. Look at it. This one is living in Nigeria here, where things are what? Are relatively what? Cheap. Another one is living in the US. For instance, we have some. They have one wife here, another one in UK. So now this one living in Nigeria, you are sending 50,000 or 100,000 to her to live for a month. 100,000 is the money. It depends on where you live anyway. Even where you live, some places in Abuja there, you can 100,000 is nothing. But you live some places in Suleja, something 100,000 used to be something, Abi. But even though now may not be something big, but it will buy something reasonable. That 100,000, how much when you convert it to dollar? Now you want to give the one in the US or in something, you want the same 100,000. Justice we have to do. They are not doing justice yet, because that one cannot. Just like someone recently did something. You want to discourage people from doing this japa that they are doing. He said, "Guy, look at this sandwich that I bought. It's £8, and then when you convert £8 to naira, it is like 16,000. Look at the 16,000 of food. Those bread and some things they put inside it. And then 16,000. So that is the life there. That's why in some places, if you are working in Nigeria and then you are spending money abroad, now nonsense you are doing. It's better you work abroad and come and spend your money in Nigeria and become a billionaire. Even though you are not hundred near there, let alone to be thousandaire. But to come to Nigeria, become what? Millionaire. So that's why if it is there, you consider a lot of what? A lot of factors. And even the status of the woman, sometimes it matters. The bottom line is that you try as much as you can to do the justice between the what? Between the, the women that you marry. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for those of us that will marry more than one. For those that we make do with one, may Allah bless us with it. And for those that are planning for it, may Allah give them the resources to do that and the ability to do it.